Hello and welcome, my dear friend. The dust has already settled on your side. You may not have thrown a party, you may not have posted a victory lap, but the proof has begun to leak into ordinary moments. Fewer knots in your chest, fewer spirals after small inconveniences. The day still throws its curveballs, but they don't own you anymore. Your pace is calmer, your choices are cleaner, and what used to drain you now barely makes a dent. That's what early victory feels like before it becomes obvious to everyone else. People mistook your quiet season for a collapse. They saw you step away from noise and assumed you stepped out of the story. But you were rewiring behind the wall, fixing what flickered, labeling what matters, learning what to stop touching altogether. No one cheers while the power is off. Then the lights come back and the whole room makes sense again. That's where you are now, clarity returning, piece by piece. Look at your days. The evidence hides in small things. You wake up and the first thought isn't dread. The noise in your chest is softer. The neighborhood feels less like a maze and more like a map. You choose your words in conversations and realize you're not defended, you're decided. The old trigger gets pressed and nothing launches. That's not numbness, that's strength, with a good memory and better boundaries. They thought they were watching you fall apart. What they saw was you stepping out of rooms you no longer fit. You stopped running after people who only answered when it benefited them. You stopped carrying tasks that were never yours, and the minute you set that down, your hands were free to build, not a spectacle but a structure. You started building a life that actually protects your peace. You plan your days better now. You say no when something drains you. You keep simple routines that keep you steady, habits that no one will ever applaud, yet everything depends on. So many tried to study your stillness like a weakness. You learned to ignore bait. You learned to let some messages go unanswered and let some stories tell on themselves. You learned that silence is not empty. Silence is where you hear the instructions. You weren't hiding, you were listening. And what you heard changed your walk. Move slow, land heavy. Now every step you take leaves an imprint that can't be argued with. Notice what's happening around you. People who used to smirk now copy your cadence. A style you were mocked for quietly becomes the template. And look at those late nights doing something right instead of quick. Those mornings you kept your promise to yourself when nobody would have noticed if you didn't. It all stacked a steady wall. And yes, someone is replaying their part in your story in a room you'll never enter. That's fine. Your attention is expensive now. You don't spend it where returns are low. Your life has new math. Peace first, purpose next. Everything else negotiates. Maybe you've wondered, but how do I know I've really turned the corner? Listen to your body in the hallway moments. The pause before you open a difficult message. The breath at a red light, the silence after a call. The old you was a fire alarm. The you you're becoming is a thermostat. You're not reacting to every draft. You're setting the climate. Meetings don't drag you under. Deadlines don't define your worth. An interruption doesn't ruin your day. You rearrange and keep momentum. That's authority. It's not loud. It's reliable. Maybe you don't feel like you've fully stepped into it yet, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's only a matter of moments before you feel it in your bones. So start looking for it from now on, because it's here. You know, there was a time others were certain your story ended. They even laughed while they named the chapter final. But you kept writing. You wrote while you were tired, and the sentences were short. You wrote while your heart healed, and the punctuation shook. You wrote on days that felt like weather inside your chest. And now the paragraph turns without their permission. That uneasy quiet around you? It's not emptiness. It's the sound of a storm that missed its target. You didn't win with a speech. You won with a sequence. choosing rest over panic, choosing clarity over the rush, choosing to leave the group chat instead of defending yourself in it, choosing to pivot the plan without announcing a rebrand. Maybe it doesn't look glamorous, but it's undefeated. Think of how you move through a grocery store now. You don't wander every aisle. You know what you're here for. Distractions used to own you. Now you push past them and pay for what you came to get. That's how you move through life these days. You don't argue with shelf talkers and signs. You grab the ingredients and go cook. They called your patience weak, but when you refused the mud wrestle, you denied them their favorite trick, turning your reaction into their proof. You walked out clean. Time did the talking. Their story couldn't keep its own lies straight. Meanwhile, your work aged well. It always does when you build with clean hands. Here's what I'm saying without glitter. Whatever you adjusted, it's registering. Whatever you let go of, it's releasing space exactly where you needed room. Whatever you chose in the dark, the boundary, the better habit, the harder truth, has already begun to pay in daylight. You can stop auditioning for a role you already own. Walk like someone whose ID has been verified. And if you feel that calm in your chest and wonder if it's laziness, no, it's weight. The kind that comes from carrying real results, not hype. Hype evaporates, but weight stays. You won't need to announce a thing. Your mornings will do it for you. Your tone will do it. Your calendar will do it. Your absence from certain arguments will do it. But you and I both know even now, not every day feels easy. Some mornings you still wake up with that familiar heaviness in your mind, wondering if the strength you had yesterday will show up again today. And that's all right. It's not backsliding. It's being the real you in the middle of healing. Victory doesn't erase fatigue. It teaches you what to do with it. You've learned to keep walking with tired legs, to pray even when words stumble, to show up in small ways when big ones feel impossible. That's faith in motion. That's what God notices when no one else can. He's seen every quiet act of courage that didn't make it into your highlight reel. Every time you chose grace instead of resentment. Every time you swallowed pride and still showed love. Every time you whispered, "Help me get through today." None of that disappeared into the air. It was recorded in eternity. You might still be facing situations that don't make sense yet. The job that demands too much but pays too little. The prayer that's been hanging unanswered for what feels like forever. The relationships that test the very softness you fought to protect. And yet you're handling them differently now. You don't panic the way you used to. You pause. You ask for wisdom, not control. You breathe through it instead of breaking under it. That's the proof that transformation is real. Not when the storm ends, but when it stops scaring you. God didn't pull you through all that darkness just to drop you here half restored. He's still building you, still teaching you how to carry blessing without losing balance. You used to chase peace like it was somewhere far ahead. Now, piece by piece, He's teaching you it can live right here in ordinary hours. You've been through too much to keep doubting that divine hand on your life. Think about it. You've walked through seasons that should have taken you out completely, yet somehow something invisible kept you steady. That was Him, not the coincidence people call luck, not the universe rearranging itself. It was God, making sure the weight that tried to crush you became the very pressure that shaped you. So when the weariness creeps in, don't call it weakness. It's evidence that you've been working with God on something sacred. Every stretch, every scar, every lonely hour, it all meant something. He was teaching you how to walk through fire and not smell like smoke. You've come too far to see yourself as recovering. You're not rebuilding a broken life. You're living a refined one. The cracks didn't ruin you. They let the light in differently. And if some days still ache, it's because your spirit hasn't forgotten what it carried. But that ache has softened now. It's no longer pain, it's perspective. God saw when you stopped trying to fix everyone else. When you finally prayed, if they go, let them go. When you began to trust that subtraction was His protection, not punishment. That's when He started clearing the path. Not instantly, but intentionally. You've been walking through those adjustments without realizing you've been promoted. Some blessings don't look like open doors. They look like closed ones that don't hurt anymore. You can stand beside what used to break you and feel peace instead of panic. That's how you know you've crossed over. And maybe you still have nights where you wonder if He's forgotten your name. But if you listen closely, even in that quiet, there's movement. He's rearranging things while you sleep. He's talking to hearts connected to your destiny. He's preparing moments that will feel like finally, but they'll arrive as suddenly. That's how God works. Not with warnings, but with perfect timing. So keep walking. Keep tending to the simple. Keep doing the things that seem too small to matter, because in God's pattern, that's where miracles start. He hides glory inside discipline. He hides change inside consistency. He hides breakthrough inside ordinary obedience. And one day soon, you'll look back and realize it wasn't random at all. Every quiet yes you whispered to God became a building block. Every time you chose peace instead of payback, something eternal took root. You were sowing in silence the very harvest you're about to see unfold. So if life still feels halfway, half healed, half answered, half known, take heart. It's not halfway, it's halfway through. The same God who began the work will finish it, and He's not rushing because He wants it to last. He's not teaching you how to get blessings, He's teaching you how to keep them. That's why this calm feels heavier. It's not emptiness, it's foundation. It's the sound of a soul that finally trusts the process, even when it doesn't understand it. And when that moment comes, when things finally align in a way your spirit already sensed, remember this: it didn't happen overnight. It happened over every night you decided not to give up. Whatever you did, it worked, because you did it with God watching. And He's not done showing the world what He saw in you all along. As we close, I want to invite you to my second channel. It's filled with peaceful ambient music, created for moments when you need calm, stillness, or gentle focus. You can tap the playlist on your screen, and I'd be grateful to have you join me there.